started 2024 with the approval of ETFs in the US and subsequently around the world, including in Hong Kong. And that momentum's carried throughout 2024. The institutions are coming through, and in this space, in the past, has always been dominated by retail. Last year, we saw huge institutions starting to embrace this space. We saw mainstreaming starting to take place on that front. And the year ended with the election of a pro-crypto president, President Trump, right? And that gave good optimism into this space. And I predicted it's going to be the start of the golden era of crypto. I think that momentum continues. Last year, we started the year with 170 million users on Binance. We ended the year with 240 million plus users. So we added 70 million users in the course of the entire year, and our institutional users actually more than doubled last year. So it's a fantastic set of results. And this year, by now, we have reached 260 million users globally. So we are the largest global crypto exchange on that front.
What does the golden era of crypto look like to you, though, specifically?
Well, if you look at the past 4 years under the Biden administration, Operation Choke Point was in progress, right? So there's a bit of oppression in the US, and US players, global crypto players are facing great uncertainty. And governments around the world are not really very supportive of crypto. I think we have a fresh reset and restart now. Since President Trump's election, actually we have gotten a lot of approaches by governments all around the world to say, hey, we want to look at this space now. By the virtual fact that US has appointed an AI and crypto czar, represents that these are the two most important industries to support all future sub-economies around the world. And we are seeing fresh optimism. Governments around the world are supporting it.
So you're talking directly with the SEC then about what the regulatory roadmap could look like? Are you talking with the Trump administration directly?
Well, we give inputs to governments around the world. I think they value our inputs because we are the most regulated exchange by now globally. We are regulated in 21 different jurisdictions.
What does your input to the US government look like? What do you want to see there exactly?
Well, so on the US front, you see very thoughtful appointments, right, in terms of the different, David Sachs as AI and crypto czar, the different appointments to the different agencies, regulatory agencies on that front. And they want to come out with a very good framework. So it's still early days, but as and when there are firm proposals, we're very happy to give inputs on that front.
But what exactly do you want to see, though? I want to understand what would bring you back into that market. What is it exactly?
Well, I think for every country, they have their own concerns, their own interests to take care of. But we want to see a framework, regulatory framework, that is, on the one hand, managing the risk aspects of the industry. But on the other hand, very supportive of innovation and growth aspects, right? If you just focus on the risk aspect of it, you're missing out on all the new innovation that's coming in through this space, right? And it's a very dynamic space on that.
Do you think that the US is going to take a more business-friendly approach, or do you think it's going to take an approach that's higher on consumer protection? Because I think you've kind of got to go down either VARA, for instance, in Dubai. That's one that's more business-friendly, for instance. Hong Kong, a bit more on the consumer side.
I think the US is going to come out. And this is only my speculation. Is it going to be a bespoke framework that really supports innovation, supports growth, but at the same time protect consumers? And all these different aspects are extremely important.
So if you get that kind of framework that's bespoke, is it enough to bring you into the US market?
Well, we always consider our global deployment, right? So we are holding a watching brief on the US. We need to see greater clarity coming out from the US, and we'll consider our options at that point in time.
And what would that look like to you, for instance?
It's too early to speculate. I don't wish to speculate at this juncture.
In terms of the headquarters as well, this has been another sticking point, I guess, and it's been something that we haven't known. What are your plans around the headquarters for Binance?
So since I took over in November 2023 as CEO of Binance, we have gone about institutionalizing the firm. So it's moved from a CEO-led, a founder-led firm, to a board-led firm now. So we have appointed our board of directors, 7 members, including 3 independent members and an independent chairman. So it is part of that transition, given the direction of travel, is one towards much more compliance. So we have invested heavily into compliance the last couple of years as well on that front. The headquarters question is something that we take time to consider, because you have to understand it's quite delicate on that front. There are many different areas that we need to consider from a tax perspective for the company, right? Whether the countries have enough double taxation agreement, whether we can base local talent there, the headquarter functions that we need to base, what's the regulatory framework that's in place, and whether it can support our global business. So there are different dimensions that we have to consider, and the board is taking a very careful approach in selecting the headquarters.
What's the timeline though to announce it?
I think as and when we are ready to announce, we will do so.
How many are on the short list?
I would say a couple at this point in time that are in serious conversation, and hopefully we will land on a headquarters very soon.
So you have a couple of different locations that are on the short list.
Under careful consideration.
2, do you mean specifically?
A number.
Where are they?
Well, I won't speculate, right? So again, our conversation with all these countries are private confidential. So it will be quite remiss of me to highlight any of the jurisdictions.